I'm in New York. I could hear you all the way from Los Angeles when it was determined that Team Liquid would get into Group A. I heard a loud yell. It was a 7.4 on the Richter scale. I was like, what is that? Why am I shaking? Why are the lampshades just like rocking back and forth? Oh, it's Tyler elated that TL is in Group A.
Oh, it was a good moment. When I saw that PSG ball come out, when they picked that PSG ball, it felt there was just this elation inside of me. There was a moment of just pure bliss. Now we talk about Group A, and Group A, here we go. It's the group I wanted for Team Liquid, but it's not an easy group. It's not an easy group. There's nothing easy about Group A. I got happy because it's not Group B, but this is a tougher group than I think some fans might think. I think how LGD performed in play-ins might affect how people see Suning. And I think the thing people don't realize is that Suning kind of just destroyed LGD in the 2 times they recently played in best of fives. They're 6-0 against LGD in the playoffs and the regionals. And it's a tough squad. Suning is really, really good. And they have you know me, Arda. I love talking about how I love the veteran leadership and the experience combined with the young talent. When you combine those 2 elements, I love it. I think that's the recipe for success in League of Legends, where you have some rookies and some, first-year, second-year players with high mechanical talent, and then you have some really, really gritty veterans who can just lead the pack. And Suning has all the elements that I love from those kind of teams.
Okay, so G2, Machi, Suning, Team Liquid. Obviously, people are going to look at Machi and say, well, they're 4th. A lot of people are going to make that initial assumption. On paper, they're going to slot Machi at the bottom, and they're going to slot G2 at the top. I'm not saying that we are doing that. I'm saying a lot of people will look at Group A and say, that's probably where these teams will end up, and then Team Liquid and Suning will be fighting for 2nd and 3rd. On your initial glance, how much does a team like Machi, how much of a chance does a team like Machi have in this group?
Are they allowed to have Uniboy and Kongwei subbing for them? No, that's kind of mean to Mission. Mission, their mid laner, is actually really good. He's one of the better players in the PCS. I do think they come in as the 4th place team, as usually it does with the LMS. The LMS has had a kind of rough road, and then they kind of folded into the PCS. And Machi does play a more of a slower style, not fast paced. They don't play anything too crazy. They're pretty standard for what I've seen of them. Full mission, I've only seen a few of their playoff games, a few of their playoff series. I didn't watch them in the regular season, but it's not going to be a tough. Like we looked over PSG Town with subs, and they surprised us all. I'm not going to overlook Machi. It's a very similar situation to General, where we've had a lot of these teams and groups where you have the LMS team that's not named Flash Wolves, and they go 0-6 or 1-5, but they're a tough out. And I think Machi is the weakest team in the top 16. I'll say that right now. I think from what I've seen, and I said this before group stages, you can sign off on this, Arda, because you were there. Okay. I said Unicorns of Love were better than Machi. I said Unicorns of Love are a top 16 team.
You did say that, yes. You did say that.
So going into groups, I am going to stand behind my statement, and I'm going to say Machi is the 4th seed of this group. But there's no easy outs anymore at Worlds. I don't think this is an easy out by any means, but I'm going to slot them in number 4.
Okay. I want to focus on Team Liquid, and I want to ask you this question in this fashion. Obviously, the meme at Worlds for Team Liquid is they can't get out of groups. They were 3-3 the last 2 years. Yes, the roster has changed. We'll get to that in a second. But the core, pardon the pun, is still there, okay? They still have 3 of the 5 players. No more Xmithy, no more double lift. Totally understand that, okay? However, they do... I want to compare. Compare for me, Tyler. I'm going to read you the groups from the last 3 years and compare me the groups for Team Liquid and their chances based off of the difficulty of the groups of the last 2 years. So 2019, they had Damwon, Invictus Gaming, and AHQ. They went 3-3. In 2018, they had KT Rolster, Edward Gaming, and Mad Team. They also went 3-3. This year, they have G2, Machi, and Suning. How does that compare?
It's very similar to the 2018. Very, very similar to the 2018 group they had, where G2 would be KT of proven stars, a lot of proven stars. Korea, top Korean team, top European team in G2. Edward Gaming, very good Chinese team. Not as young and with a more rookie base on Suning, but I would say they were equally looked at as like possible quarterfinal contenders. Get to quarterfinals, semifinals would be amazing for either EGG of 2018 or Suning of 2020. And then you have Team Liquid, and I think this Team Liquid is better than the 2018 edition. Maybe the results haven't been as good, but I do think they have a lot more potential. Last year I gave Team Liquid probably like a 20% chance of getting out of groups. 2018 I was more bullish on them. I thought they were better than EGG. I think I actually had them out of that group. I was probably like 50%, like 50-50, 55% on them. And I think this year, that you're gonna say this is a cop-out answer. You're gonna say I'm seeing like a 3-3 record. I'm picturing a 3-3 record again, even without double
again.
This feels like a 3-3 group for Liquid. This feels like a tiebreaker group. I feel this is a tiebreaker. And I'm not saying it's versus Suning. I think Suning's deceptively good. I think a lot of people are putting too many eggs in the G2 basket. I know Wonder tweeted out, "Oh, is there any good groups or any good teams in this group?" But I don't think G2 is as dominant as they were last year, as results have shown. And I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk for them in this group. I don't think it's going to be a 6-0. I don't think G2 is getting out of this group 6-0. I think Machi probably steals the game as well. I don't think they go 0-6 either. Where I think I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, G2 out easy, Machi out last," but I really do think this Team Liquid team very much feels like a 3-3, go to a tiebreaker, maybe a 4-2 if things get, if stars align. But for me, for Team Liquid, it's all about Broxa. Broxa is the player that I need to see shine in this group.
Do you see a world where Suning and Team Liquid get out of Group A?
Yes, definitely.
That is a strong possibility.
Yes. I have G2 advancing, just so the European fans don't kill me. Like I have G2 as first place. I have them going out first place, but this G2 team isn't unstoppable. Like this isn't the G2 team of last year. Do they have the potential and the ceiling to get back to that spot? Yes, of course. But Jankos isn't the Jankos of 2019 just yet. Perks and Mickey X are nowhere near the form they were in last year, even with Mickey X's injury. Caps is Caps. Caps is an ace. He is going to be that Caps level, but you always have those craps games come in. You always have those troll games of G2, and in a best of one or this single game series, it's not like there's a possibility where they just throw a game to Machi. They don't feel like an unbeatable team to me, like Top Esports or Damn One, where I feel like those teams versus weaker teams are going to stomp them. Where G2, they play with their food a lot. There was that game last year at Worlds versus C9 where Blabber out-juggled Jankos, and it just became a all-out skirmish, like a 20-minute fight, just never-ending fight. G2 won that because they were better than Cloud9 that year and just mechanically better, and they could play with their food. And in the mid-game, they surged through, but it's a different game. And G2 definitely has a possibility of somehow falling out. It's not a shoe-in. This is not going to be a cakewalk for anyone.
Mm-hmm. To tie a bow on Group A, I have a prediction to make.
All right.
I know we're going to talk about which teams we think are going to get out of Group A. Now, I picked G2 and Team Liquid to get out of Group A. You inspired me. I know it wasn't a Team Liquid related headline, but you inspired me with the "Do you believe in miracles?" Oh, and by the way, more generally, can I just say, Tyler, now that my Turkish boys are out of Worlds, I now firmly join you back on the North American bandwagon. Okay,
we're back.
I was born and raised in Canada, people. Okay, I am back on the bandwagon.
Oh, he's back.
You and I are forming like Voltron as the NA team.
Love it, buddy.
The hype train. All right. Here's my prediction. I think TL. I just love their coaching staff. We know that they swept the MVP in the LCS. I know that doesn't matter at Worlds, but I just love Jat's analytical mind. I love what he's been doing with drafts. I really think that in a best of one situation, Jat will put his team in best position to succeed. Meanwhile, I think G2 have the opportunity to stumble. Best of ones, anything can happen. We all know this. Here's my prediction. If G2 get out of this group, okay? I'm not saying that's 100% chance, but if G2 get out of this group, they're making the final.
Oh, okay, that's
my prediction.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
You think they're going to round into form? You think like if they get out groups, they're going to find their form again? They're going to get that get that mojo back of 2019. They're going to find their footing essentially. I
believe that, and I know that I've spoken about this on Rift Rewind in a past episode, and we sort of dismiss the idea that every team has mental fortitude, blah, blah, blah. But I'm looking at these teams, and I'm looking at G2 in particular, and I'm looking at the heartbreak and the pain and the rigors that they have been through in the last several years, especially looking at Worlds 2019. That's never going to go away for those players. And they've been thinking about it, and it's been stewing, and it's been in the back of their minds. And all the adversity that they faced in the LEC this season, unforeseen circumstances, tragedy, everything that has happened to G2. I believe, and they have shown this in the LEC playoffs as well, and yes, they will be facing stronger teams, particularly in the LPL where they have struggled against those teams. Totally understand that. However, I believe that all of that will have prepared them for a best-of-5 series better than any team in this tournament. I do believe in that power of the mental fortitude and preparation, and I think G2 are in the best position for that category among these teams in this tournament. Now, whether you believe, not you, Tyler, just everyone watching, whether you watching out there believe that category to be less important or as important as I do, that is a debate that I will happily have and completely respect your opinion. I value it highly. You out there may not value it as much. But in that category, no matter how you value it, G2, in my opinion, are the strongest team for that category. And I think that that's going to suit them well, especially in a best-of-5 situation. But that goes out the window in best-of-ones because best-of-ones are unpredictable.
And first off, I just want to say I agree with you on G2, Arda. My lovable North American brother. You finally have joined the cause for good. The NA bandwagon is chewing. And we got it. I'm just so happy for you, Arda. You came on, you picked Team Liquid, you picked G2. And I would just like officially right here on Wake Up Worlds to make my official prediction. G2 and Suning.
What? No.
I backstabbed.
What are you doing?
I was the imposter all along, Arda.
My back. Oh, is that a knife? Is that a knife on my back?
I was the imposter all along, Arda. I roped you in, gave you some, for the last week I've just been, saying sweet nothings to you about Team Liquid and how businesslike they are, how stellar they are, this great narrative. But when I have to make my official prediction, and I've waffled back and forth, and I'm sure I will waffle back and forth even more as we go into the group stage. And this might not be my last prediction. I might change it up again and throw in Team Liquid. I probably will because I am a biased. I do love my North American teams, but I'm looking at Broxa, and I love Broxa, and I think he has the talent in the world to go back to his 2018 self.
And I was just taking the knife out of my back because Tyler so happily put it there somehow, some way. Here I am, buddy. I thought we were tag team partners, and then you throw me through the barbershop window. What's going on here, man?
I'm sorry. I lured you into this trap. I know I told you how great Team Liquid looked in the play-ins. They're the best play-in team, best performance. 1-5, so business-like, tactical, looking like a young god out there. Core JJ is the Secret Service bodyguard protecting his young prodigy at all times. You have Jensen smashing in the mid lane, top die, Impact, and Broxa doing his business on Graves in the jungle. But for me, it is about Broxa, and I love Broxa. But his champion pool has not been the whitest during the summer season. His Trundle, I don't know how a viable Trundle is currently in this meta. We've seen none of it during the play-in stage. His Lee Sin was ineffective, I would think, at best versus Mad Lions. He was decent in team fighting, but he didn't have any real early pressure or impact. Disregard the pun there in the early game versus Mad Lions. So his Graves is amazing, but Graves is such a high-value pick. And it's a pick that can easily be banned out from him. So I'm wondering what else could he play? What else can he influence the map on? I'm sure Team Liquid has some, jokers and some aces up their sleeve. They weren't really pressed in the group stage at all, really. Even the game they lost to INTZ, that was more of a throw than INTZ kind of like, just beating them soundly. So I still think Team Liquid has didn't really show anything. Jat still probably does have some stuff to show off in the group stages versus better teams, but I'm looking at the matchup of Sophom in the jungle versus Broxa, and Sophom is such an unorthodox, he builds Knight's Vow all the time. He's such a funky jungler, and he's so excellent at these skirmishes and just kind of this ongoing pressure that he puts on. And I don't know if Broxa can stand up to that. I don't know if, even though I do think Jensen is the better player than Angel in the mid lane, I don't know if the 2v2 between jungler and mid is better for Team Liquid. So, and then in the bottom lane is very similar. You have very young AD carries, Huangfeng for Suning, and you have Tactical for Team Liquid, obviously, and then you have Sword Art kind of shepherding Huangfeng on Suning, and you have J shepherding on Team Liquid. And then Impact in the top lane. Bin is a different kind of player that Impact will have to play against. He's a very aggressive player, similar to the Shy in many ways. Many of the Shy people have told me who I've asked about Bin. He's very aggressive, always forward in lane. I'm okay with Impact. I think Impact is a player who can neutralize a majority of those type of players, unless it is the Shy in peak form, where we saw last year in the tiebreaker, how that went. But I really do think it comes down to the jungle and kind of the partnership between Jensen and Broxa. If Jensen and Broxa can continue building this chemistry together, and if Broxa can show that he has a wider champion pool than just Graves that he can excel on, Team Liquid can get out of this group. This is not, an impossible group for Team Liquid by any means. But right now, from what I know, from what I've seen, I think Suning and Sophom are the better team.
Okay.
Right now, and I'm being a bit cautious, right? I also want to be a bit cautious. I might flip-flop back and forth. I think Team Liquid's at least going to take, I think they can get 3 wins in this group, maybe even 4, but it's going to be tough sledding. And I need to see more from Brox. I need to see more from him because there's the big offseason pick. He's everything that they wanted. They moved on for Rick Smithy because Broxa was supposed to be that early game jungler that brought them a new, different style to their repertoire. And so far, hasn't really worked out that way. We're a bit quicker in the play-ins, but you might attribute that to playing weaker teams. So I'm going to go Suning for Group A, G2 first place, Suning number 2, and I'm still going to hope Team Liquid has a chance, but my heart's telling me, my brain's telling me Suning needs to get that.
This is the longest con in the history of esports. You have cried over this team at MSIs. You have been banging the NA drum for years and years and years, only for this moment, this exact moment where you have now. I can't believe it. I'm still in shock. I love that you can still reserve the right to change your mind. Hopefully, when Team Liquid get out of groups, Tyler, I will welcome you back with open arms.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I'm driving the ship now.
I might change my mind, Arda. I'll maybe change my mind. Stop breaking my heart here. But for now, I pick Suning. Right now, my brain is screaming at me to pick Suning. The same brain that told me that Unicorns of Love is going to ace the play-in stage. That same brain is telling me Suning is going to. I think Team Liquid. I can see a tiebreaker now. I can see the setup: Team Liquid versus Suning, and Suning beating Team Liquid. And my heart breaking once.
A lot of people's brains are telling them that Damwon and JD will get out of Group B. I think that is the consensus thought, unless you are a fan of Rogue or in the talent, in the play-in stage. This brings